Let's bring in Gideon Rozner now. He is the Director of Policy at the Institute of Public Affairs. Gideon, good to see you. Thanks for your time this morning.
Thanks for having me.
It's good to see you. So 3 days to go. Does Morrison get his second miracle here?
Look, he just might. The question is, has his housing policy come too late in the campaign, given a lot of people have already voted? But this has definitely changed the whole tenor of the campaign. It's a weird campaign, Peter, because for the first 5 weeks, we didn't have much policy discussion at all. It was all about character and innuendo and gossip. There wasn't much of a point of difference between the parties. On Sunday, that all changed. I've had friends text me saying they're locked in for Morrison now after being undecided. This is a bit like Howard's 2004 moment when he went to Tasmania, was embraced by forestry workers. Instead now, Morrison seems to be embraced by frustrated millennials. And the contrast with Labor's policy of co-ownership, the government owning your home, could not be clearer. This is what the Prime Minister needed to do. He did something bold, which is introduce a policy and not a bad policy, and maybe, just maybe, it will work for him.
You have been critical of him in the past. Would you like to see him keep the reins?
Look, on balance, I suppose so. But yes, I have been critical about Morrison up until now. And I don't think it should have taken him until a week before polling day to release a policy that, in the interests of small government, economic empowerment, letting people access their own money. The fact of the matter is that for too long, for this whole term, Scott Morrison has lost his support of his own base, and he's chased the votes of people who will never vote for him. We've seen that with net zero being a prime example. He's lost support in among the blue collar workforce in regional communities, and ordinary Australians who favour reliability and affordability in power. Had he done more to distinguish himself from the Labor Party and give his supporters something to fight for, I think he'd be in a much stronger electoral position now than he is, certainly.
It's interesting you say that, Gideon, because just picking through some of those numbers that were out today, you've got more and more of a drift, it would seem, to those minor parties and the independents, somewhere around 34%, which is equal to the Prime Minister. The Labor leaders back there at 31%. So, I mean, is it the situation where voters are faced with two unpopular choices this time around?
Absolutely, and I've been saying for months now that this is a choice between Pepsi and Coke. And, in answer to a previous question, look, I prefer Pepsi, but if they serve Coke for the next 3 years, I won't be crying into my beer. But that's a very, very important point. I think the surge of support in the freedom parties, the right-wing minor parties, has been underreported. The Teal surge has been overreported and over-egged. But this election night will come down to preferences. With so many minor parties running with such a low vote for the major parties, preferences will fly all over the place. It will be a very, very, very interesting, volatile and unpredicted election night.
Yeah, I mean, I put this to David Littleproud in the show last hour, but I mean, some people have suggested that the Nats might even break up in Queensland if they were to lose the election or separate themselves from the LNP because so many of their voters are drifting towards, these minor parties, etc. Do you see anything like that happening?
Look, I think the Nationals need to renegotiate a better deal at the very least on policy, because that would be hurting them, of course. Now, don't forget that the Liberal Party only won in 2016 because of the Nationals holding all their seats. They certainly wouldn't have won in 2019 without the Nationals. Yeah. The Nationals have been standing against, Labor's crazy climate plans and things like that and holding down the regions. But now they have not the same leg to stand on as they did previously, because there's so little difference between the parties on climate change policy in particular. So it's a big existential problem for them.
So what do you think? I mean, crystal ball time, what do you think a Prime Minister Albanese would be like?
Look, I think Prime Minister Albanese would be a reasonably worse version of what we have now. We would still have big government spending. We would still have crazy climate policies. We would still have red tape. We would still have internet censorship. I mean, don't forget what Paul Fletcher's crazy plans to censor online speech with his new disinformation laws. I think it wouldn't be a particularly good government, but Australians aren't getting good government from either side right now. Fundamentally, Peter, there's only one major party in this country, and it's called the Canberra Party. And it's good to see the coalition move a little bit closer to its traditional values, but it shouldn't have taken so long.
No. Okay. Gideon, good to see you.
Great to see you,
enjoy your day. We'll talk to you soon.